Hey rockers, welcome back to another fine tale, or maybe you'll think it's not a fine tale. Who knows? But either way, before I get started talking about Twisted Effin' Sister, thanks to Gene Perfect in Texas for sending me this cool t-shirt, man. Yeah, he sent me and Sister Tracy a great care package with a couple different Texas t-shirts and a Gigi t-shirt. So yeah, man, I thought I'd wear this bad boy tonight to say thanks to Gene. And thanks, Gene. I've been singing Lukenbach, Texas all night long by Waylon and Willie. Waylon and Willie and the boys. Anyway, thanks, Gene, for the t-shirt, man. I'm going to go back to the year September 4th, 1984. It just hit me earlier. I was watching a video by Twisted Sister on YouTube, and I thought, man, these guys are good. They're so good, they sounded just like their albums. Wait, I saw those guys. I did, man, back in 1984. In Davenport, Iowa, at a place called the Col Ballroom. It's the only time I'd ever been to this particular place, and we ended up getting very close to the band, like within sweating distance of DEE Snider. Like, I was looking up at this dude who's like 6'1", and with all his stage gear, boots, you know, and his outfit, it was just like looking up at this huge, crazy rock monster that was just like awesome. You know what I mean? DEE Snider, larger than life, with that crazy hair that was like a lion on steroids, man. But that night, of course, they played there. Y&T was one of the opening acts, and the Mama's Boys. Remember them? I don't so much, but I have seen them a couple times. I don't have much to say about the opening acts of this particular show, because I was really tuned in to Twisted Sister, and when we got there, there was like a line down the road to get into the place to see Twisted Sister. It was a big deal. They were all over MTV, man, with I Wanna Rock and We're Not Gonna Take It. Those videos were humongous, man. Remember actor Mark Metcalf played that crazy guy in the videos? He was like, what do you want to do with your life? And of course, the kid said, I wanna rock. And then he turns into DEE Snider. And then the other video, of course, he says, Mr. Sister. Just iconic moments in video music history, right? Twisted Sister, everyone had a soft spot for them because they were so frequently played in high rotation on MTV back in the day. Of course, Twisted Sister formed 72 or 1973 in New Jersey, relocating later to Long Island, New York, featuring the great DEE Snider on vocals. Just a totally larger-than-life guy that's one of the better frontmen in rock and roll. The great J.J. French, who kind of owns that band. It's his band, I believe. I think he owns the name Twisted Sister on guitar and vocals. The great Mark the Animal Mendoza on bass. Eddie Ojeda on guitar and vocals. I always have a hard time with his last name, but Eddie. They called him Fingers. But he was killer, man, and a great guitar player. And the late, great A.J. Pero on drums, who passed away at age 55 in 2015. Killer drummer, man. Twisted Sister. They sold over 20 million albums, probably a lot more than that. I remember getting into those guys back in about 1981, 82? I think 82. The first album I got my hands on was Under the Blade. Their first album. So good, man. And then after that, you know, we had to keep getting more Twisted Sister to feed that rock and roll habit. And we got the You Can't Stop Rock and Roll album. And then I ended up getting the Live at the Marquee release, which is a really killer live album by Twisted Sister. If you haven't heard Live at the Marquee, you got to check it out on YouTube or buy a copy on vinyl or somewhere. It's badass. For sure. By the time they did their third album, though, their third official album, which is called, what is it? What was the third one? Stay Hungry. Yeah. That thing just blew up. They became they were all over the radio, all over MTV. DEE Snider was like a household face, much to many people's chagrin. But man, those guys really were killer. And if you listen to those early Twisted Sister records before they got famous on MTV and became like a household name, they were doing some really heavy, good stuff, man. Really, Under the Blade, that stuff is killer. You Can't Stop Rock and Roll, just really good landmark metal albums. Some people call them glam metal. DEE Snider doesn't like that term. It's not really fair. Yeah, they had that certain look and stuff, but if you listen to the music, you don't see that look. It's just really straight up in your face, great rock and roll / metal. I know some people are going to say Twisted Sister's not metal, but they kind of are in a way, yeah. And they're also hard rock and roll. Somebody even said to me, Anvil's not metal. They're more like Twisted Sister doing rock and roll. Well, yeah, they're rock and roll, but they're certainly metal. Anvil? Oh my gosh, don't even get me started. Anyway, we drove from Peoria, Illinois, the 90 minutes all the way to Davenport, Iowa to go to the Col Ballroom. Line of people out the door all the way down the freaking street. We were like, holy hell. And I remember getting in that line thinking, man, this is a long line. This is going to be killer, but we're going to have crappy visuals because we're back here in the back. But we were the kind of people that didn't take that. We just fought our way all the way to the top, all the way to the very front of the stage, maybe 2 feet from DEE Snider. He could look down and see us because we were like really getting into it, you know, being fans for a couple of years at this point. And we knew most of the songs they were doing that night. Of course, Dee came out looking just like he did in the video with this cool stage outfit with the thing on his shoulders, with all the little rag things hanging off, and he had his gloves on and his, I think it was a bright pink and black microphone stand, and just decked head to toe in his leather that I believe his wife made his outfits. If not, it was somebody in the band's wife, but I think it was DEE Snider's wife that made the band's outfits. Don't hold me to that. But they all looked great. The whole band was decked out, super rock and roll, great light show. And the energy that DEE Snider brought to the stage was crazy. This man worked both sides of the stage all night. He was constantly singing in the crowd, letting everybody sing, just larger than life. It was really wild watching him live. We were kind of just like, wow. We were into the Plasmatics and we were into good bands that were like shock rock and like Alice Cooper. But DEE Snider, he was a different kind of animal, but you got to admit it, whether you like Twisted Sister or not, great front man, really good vocals. The guys sounded just like the records, which is always a good thing in my book. So yeah, they were just killer, man. Again, all the band guys were doing, at least I know that Eddie was doing a lot of backing vocals. I think JJ French sounded just like the records. The vocals were spot on. The band were all moving in like unison at certain points, doing their certain metal, like back and forth movements, and it was like perfect. And then you have to wonder, how long did these guys practice this to get it right? Like ZZ Top when they did their moves, it was flawless, man. I saw those guys back in the 80s. It was like, how in the hell are they looking like they're on an escalator doing that walk? They must have practiced that until they had it down. But you got to give it to good showmanship, right? It takes a lot of discipline to put on a good show. And not everybody wants to go see a band, you know, on stage wearing jeans and t-shirts or jeans and a flannel. It's nice to have visuals in bands like Twisted Effin' Sister. And, you know, that night I don't have the exact set list that they did, but I do know the songs they played. They did It's a Long Way to the Top, If You Want to Rock and Roll, AC/DC cover. Yep. They did Stay Hungry, the title track to the new album they had been promoting. Came out in May of '84, so this was September of '84. Under the Blade, that was killer live. The Beast, I remember the lights went down and we were all like, yeah, this is so creepy. The Beast, heavy stuff, man. You Can't Stop Rock and Roll, it's just a great song. Tons of energy, great guitar work by the guys. Burn in Hell, one of my favorites, man. You're gonna burn in hell, see no evil. Yeah, man, that was great live. It was a great sing-along. We're Not Gonna Take It, of course. The whole crowd was singing along to that. That had to have been a great adrenaline high for the band, just to have these songs go over so damn well, you know, and so huge. And then they did a song that they dedicated to all of the special fans of Twisted Sister, SMF, which stands for Sick Mother Effer. Of course, I Wanna Rock, the whole crowd was singing along to that. I remember Dee introducing the whole band. There was a drum solo at one point, AJ killing it on the drums. Those guys were definitely a badass band, you know. I think they get a little bit overlooked these days, maybe because of the sheer popularity. It's almost like everyone's mom knows who DEE Snider is now, but if you go back and listen to those records, they stand the test of time. They did Shoot 'Em Down, another killer tune, and I think they might have came out and done The Kids Are Back when they first hit the stage. The Kids Are Back! That was such a good song, man, from the old albums. And I gotta say, Twisted Sister was one of the better bands I've ever seen live. Really wanted to meet DEE Snider that night, but it was just, there was no way. We tried, and usually we succeed in that kind of thing, don't we? But we didn't that night. But man, just being there. And I remember Dee, his makeup was all running down his face and he was sweating all over us. It was great. I was like, this guy's like sweating like gallons, man. And I remember it hitting our faces going, geez, man, it's like it's raining in here, man. But it was DEE Snider's sweat. Yeah, he was definitely menacing, man. We were like this. It was like, look at this dude. But he was the real deal for sure, man. Twisted Sister absolutely delivered live. I highly recommend checking out some of those old videos on YouTube of Twisted Sister back in 1984 to see exactly what I'm talking about. Thanks again for being here at Bloody F Mess Official. I've got some other videos planned. I have a few requests I'm going to get to this week, and I hope to be back with a new GG video soon for those people waiting for that. Real soon, actually. And yeah, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel if you would, please. Give it a like. Also like my Texas t-shirt. Thanks, Gene. And leave a comment if you want, man. Cheers. By the way, unless something tragic happens, I'll be performing in Davenport, Iowa, March the 14th at the Raccoon Motel. And in Chicago, March 15th at Livewire Lounge. Adios, amigos. Whoa.